Hey, welcome to my channel.
Have you ever faced a challenge so big that it felt impossible to overcome? In this story, you'll meet Aaron, a young boy determined to climb a rock wall despite falling time and time again. What happens when fear and doubt creep in? Can he push through and find success? Watch now to discover the power of persistence, belief, and never giving up.
Arun stood at the foot of the towering rock wall, his heart pounding in his chest. His eyes traced the uneven surface, each jagged crack and ledge appearing like an insurmountable mountain. The wind whispered through the trees, mocking his fear. His friends cheered, their voices distant, but Arun barely heard them. His mind was too focused on the climb ahead. Every part of him felt heavy. He clenched his fists, his palms sweating in the cold air. He had fallen many times before, but this time, something felt different. The doubts inside him swirled like a storm, but deep down, he knew this was his moment to conquer. The crowd's cheers faded as Aaron took the first step, his body trembling with anticipation. Slowly, he inched upward, one hand after another, gripping the rough rock. His legs strained with each push, but he refused to stop. Then, in a split second, his foot slipped. His heart lurched as he lost his balance. No! His body fell through the air like a broken pendulum. Crash! He hit the ground hard, the air knocked out of his lungs. The crowd gasped, their eyes wide with disbelief. Arun lay there, dazed and aching, staring up at the sky. His palms were torn, his body bruised. He could hear his coach calling his name, but all he could focus on was the gnawing feeling of failure. Is this it? Will I ever be able to get back up? The silence around him was deafening. Arun sat there, staring at his scraped hands, the pain from his fall a dull throb that echoed in his chest. His friends murmured in the background, offering quiet encouragement, but it felt hollow to him. What if they're right? What if I'm just not good enough? His head was filled with doubts, his mind clouded with the weight of failure. His coach walked up to him, his face kind yet firm. Arun, don't let this moment define you. Failure doesn't mean it's over, it's a step toward success. But Arun couldn't shake the feeling that he had let everyone down, especially himself. The thought of climbing again seemed impossible. I failed once, what's to say I won't fail again? But then, something inside him stirred. Maybe it wasn't the end, maybe it was just the beginning. As Arun sat there, defeated, his coach placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Arun, every climber faces failure. It's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up. The best climbers didn't succeed on their first try. They fell, they stumbled, but they never gave up. Arun listened intently, the words sinking deep into his heart. Is that the key? To keep going no matter how hard it gets? The coach's eyes were full of understanding as he spoke. You'll get there, Arun. I know you will. But you have to believe in yourself and trust the process. Keep pushing forward, no matter the obstacle. Arun nodded, his resolve slowly returning. He stood up, dusted himself off, and took a deep breath. For the next few weeks, Arun dedicated himself to training. Early mornings before school, late nights after practice. He pushed himself past his limits. His hands were blistered, his muscles ached, but he never stopped. Every fall, every mistake only made him stronger. He learned from each slip, adjusting his technique, building his stamina. He spent hours focusing on his form, his footwork, and his mental strength. Each time he stumbled, he got back up, refusing to quit. I'll climb that wall, I'll make it to the top, this time will be different, he promised himself. And with each passing day, Arun's belief in his own ability grew stronger. His body grew stronger too. Success wasn't about avoiding failure, it was about embracing the process and learning from each setback. The big day had arrived. The competition was about to begin, and Arun stood at the base of the same rock wall that had once crushed his spirit. His friends and family gathered around, their faces filled with anticipation. But this time, there was no fear in Arun's heart. The nerves were still there, but they had transformed into determination. His palms were sweaty, but his grip was firm. He looked up at the rock with renewed strength. This time he wasn't just climbing to reach the top, he was climbing to prove to himself that he could conquer anything. I won't let fear control me. I've prepared for this moment, Arun thought. This is my time to shine. Arun's hands gripped the rock with precision as he began his climb. His body moved effortlessly, each movement smoother than the last. The crowd watched in awe as he ascended higher and higher. He reached the halfway point, his breath quickening, but his mind was clear. This was it, the moment he'd been training for. His legs shook with exhaustion, but he refused to stop. Then, for a moment, time seemed to stand still. The crowd gasped, and Arun's heart skipped a beat. Would he fall? But in a split second, he regained his balance. With one final push, he pulled himself upward, refusing to let this obstacle stop him. Arun's arms burned with pain, his body screaming for rest, but he didn't stop. The top of the wall was within reach, just a few more moves. This is it. I've come too far to give up now, he thought. Every fiber of his being was pushing him forward. The final grip felt like an eternity away, but he reached for it with all his strength. One more pull, he whispered to himself. With a final burst of energy, he grabbed the top ledge, pulling himself up and over. He did it! The crowd erupted into applause. Arun stood at the summit, victorious, his chest heaving with exhilaration. The climb was over, but the journey had just begun.
By watching this story, we've learned that success doesn't come from never falling. It comes from getting up after each fall, learning from every mistake, and pushing forward no matter the obstacles. Remember, the road to success is built on persistence, not perfection. So the next time you face a challenge, don't give up. Keep climbing. You'll reach your top. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to keep believing in yourself and never stop trying, because your greatest victory might just be one step away.